Hello everybody, this is Matt with Killswitch Outdoors. Today I'm going to show you a really easy way to make elk chili. Now you can use any type of ground meat or venison you have. I'm choosing elk. I have some regular ground elk with no fat, no extra suet or anything put in. But then I'm also taking some elk breakfast sausage that I'm going to throw in for some extra flavor. So I'm not sure if you can see, we got a little bit extra fat in there from some pork suet that was ground in when we were making the sausage. All you need for this recipe, obviously besides the elk, you're going to need some chili powder, some cumin, a little bit of sugar, some cayenne pepper for some extra heat, olive oil, salt and pepper. You got tomato sauce, tomato paste, just a can of diced tomatoes, and if you're part of the bean family for your chili, a can of rinsed and drained kidney beans. Also some diced onion and 5-6 cloves of garlic, depending on how garlicky you like things. We're going to use a lot today. We've already got our spices and everything prepped out and measured. Now we'll have the exact recipe with measurements and everything in the description of this video. So we're not going to really cover that as we're filming here. But we're going to go ahead and dice our onion. We like to use yellow onion. It just adds kind of a nice smooth flavor instead of that really sharp flavor that you'll get from a white onion. First you want to cut the onion in half. So you want to go pole to pole, so from root to stem, in order to get the best and easiest ways to dice. So we're just going to go ahead and chop that in half. I'm going to peel off the paper. What I like to do when I am chopping onion to dice, I'll just take a little bit off of the end here. And then you want to take a few cross-section cuts. Again, almost all the way to the root, but not quite. And then we begin to chop. I like to get a good grip, get my pointer finger and my thumb a little bit on the blade. You get a little bit more control of your knife. So you take your claw grip here and you just start kind of in a little rocking motion. Your knife should never leave the cutting board. All right, so that's a nice, easy way to get your onion diced and ready to go for this chili recipe. So now that we got our onion all diced up and ready to go, we're gonna go ahead and get some garlic ready. We just take our knife, smash it everywhere, and then I'm going to use probably 5 of these cloves of garlic. They're pretty small. Let's go ahead and make it 6. Just to make it easy, just smash each one with the flat side of your knife. A little tip, you actually don't even have to take the paper off of the garlic if you're using a garlic press. You just want to loosen that paper a little bit off of the raw garlic underneath the paper, and then you can just crush it right into your pan, as you're going to see once we start cooking here in a second. Now that we got our veggies all cut, by veggies I mean our 1 onion and our bunch of garlic, got my little camp stove out here. So this is a recipe that you can easily do while you're out in the hills, at camp, in your tent, in your trailer, even over the stove if you've got a nice cast iron Dutch oven that you can just throw over the fire. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to light my little camp stove here. Takes a while for cast iron to get hot, so I'm going to crank this up pretty high just so we can get that heat kind of distributed throughout the dish. First, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my olive oil, about a teaspoon's worth or a tablespoon. We're going to wait for that oil to come up to temperature. We're going to have exact measurements of all of the spices, ingredients in the description of this video, but I like to taste as I go. So your difference in measurement for your spices might be a little bit different than mine or my taste. For example, I like my chili a little spicier, and you're going to see my ingredients that I put in for spice. Also salt and pepper. Some people take a little bit more salt, some people don't. So I like to add a little bit of salt at the beginning, keep adding it and tasting it as it's cooking, because you can never take the salt away. You can always add more as it's cooking. Looks like our oil is starting to glisten a little bit and kind of come to temp. We're going to let that get a little warmer. We're going to start with the onions in here. You hear that nice sizzle right off the bat. Lets you know that your oil's getting to the temperature you need it to be. Now that we're getting a little warm, I'm going to turn my temperature down a little bit. And just kind of keep it moving a little bit. We're not looking to get like really dark caramelized onions here. We're looking to just get a little bit of translucency in here. So once they start to turn a little pale and see-through, that's when you know you are good to go and start adding your meat. I will throw a little bit of salt in here just to help those onions get moving along. smelling good already. And it really doesn't take long for your onions to start getting the color that you want to see. We're going to go ahead and let those go for a second. We do want to make sure we add a little bit of fat when cooking with venison. The sausage has a little bit of added fat to it, but venison, as you all know, it is going to be very lean, and it dries out really quick if you overcook it. Now this is going to be a long, slow cook for this chili, so it should not dry out. It should be super tender. This is the highest heat we're going to use for the most part. Next, I'm going to go ahead and throw in my ground elk, as well as my elk breakfast sausage. I'm using 2 pounds because I really like a meatier chili. You may not like as much meat. You might want to add more beans, but I like it really meaty and hearty, especially when we're making this out at elk camp. Something that can really fuel you for a few days and fill your bellies and keep you warm, and is honestly going to taste better and better the second, third, fourth, fifth day at camp. This is something that is really, really easy to make, but you will not be disappointed in how you feel afterwards and how it tastes for the rest of camp. Maybe you just helped your buddy pack out his spike at the top of a mountain, and you told him if you ever shoot a spike that high up there again, you're going to put the tag on him. Looking at you, Sean. You know, something like this that you can easily warm up if you made it the next day, or even if you made it in advance and take it up to camp ready to go, is going to be absolutely delicious. We've got our onion and our elk here. I know I've been moving it a lot here, but once I kind of get it broken up and it's starting to brown, I like to just leave it alone for a second. Try to develop a good brown char on some of that meat, because a lot of people think once you char meat, it's burnt, and it's really not burnt. So you're just adding a lot of flavor and whole new depths of flavor to your dish if you get a good charred and brown on all of your meat. Let this oil and these onions kind of do its work, kind of fry the bottom of that meat so it's nice and brown. So that'll take a few minutes. We're going to go ahead and let that set. And while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of this other stuff here. Okay, so now our meat's kind of been setting for just a little bit so we can get that good browning on the bottom. Always good to have a towel or oven mitts or something when you're cooking, especially with cast iron. My cast iron Dutch oven doesn't have any handles on it, so a towel is a must. You want to try and scrape up as much of those little browned pieces that might be stuck to your bottom of your pan as you can, because like I said, all of that is additional flavor that you want in your food. Now, here's that little hack with the garlic I was telling you about, where you don't actually need to peel the garlic. You don't want to add your garlic too early because it burns really fast. As your meat's just about ready, you can throw your garlic in your garlic press. Now you can just squeeze that directly into your dish. Now there's a little more cleanup on the back end when you got to get the paper out of here, but we'll worry about cleanup another time. We've got our garlic into our meat mixture with our onions. Now we just want to stir this in. Our elk meat is almost cooked all the way through. So once you don't see any more pink or any more red in your meat, then we can go ahead and start adding the rest of our ingredients. Now, some of these recipes that you might find for making chili will have you actually drain off the fat. But since elk and venison in general is just so lean, we do have the added fat from the olive oil and the added fat from the suet that's ground into our breakfast sausage. But it's not going to be enough where we're going to need to worry about draining off that fat. If there is some excess, as it all comes together, you can always skim it off the top with a spoon. All right, so our meat looks about perfect and ready to go. You want to start adding in your spices. Now this is important before you add in your wet ingredients. The oil that you used and the fat that's from the meat is actually going to help bloom those spices a little bit. So you're going to get a little bit deeper flavor in your chili. I'm going to start with the chili powder, the cumin, the cayenne. I know it sounds weird, a little bit of white sugar. Now that we got all those in the party there, we're all going to give it a good mix, get it nice and incorporated with the rest of our elk. Ooh, it smells so good already. You guys are going to love this, and you're going to have to give it a try on your own when you're out in the hills or even at home. And it doesn't take long for those spices to bloom in that oil. You might even get a few hunters coming over from the camp next door to ask what you're doing. Good thing that this makes a big pot. So if you're friendly, you can share. If not, tell them to get back to their side. So now we've got all of our spices mixed in. Now we can start adding our wet ingredients. We've got a whole 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. With the juices, do not drain that. An 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, Typically, I like to cook the tomato paste with the meat as soon as I put my spices in, but frankly, I've forgotten. Can't take it back now. It's gonna be fine. It's still gonna be absolutely delicious, I promise you. With your canned tomatoes, sometimes they'll have like a really tinny flavor that you'll get from the cans themselves. And the longer you cook them without adding water or broth, which we'll do next, it's gonna help kind of cook that tinny flavor out, and you're gonna really taste the ingredients come through a lot better. We have been stirring this for a little while now. You can really see it's come together really, really nice. This is gonna be a nice, thick chili, but so far the only liquids we have in here are from those tomatoes. While we stepped away for a second, I went and got about 1.5 cups of warm beef broth. Get everything put in nice and incorporated here. It's gonna look a little bit watery right now, but don't worry about that. It's gonna cook down and it's gonna thicken up really, really nice. Salt and pepper. I just kind of like to season to taste. My taste might not be the same as yours, so I encourage you to do the same. So we did salt those onions as we started, but then we go ahead and salt again as we have everything in here. Now don't use a ton of salt if you are using canned tomatoes, because typically those things are so packed full of sodium. Just a little bit of salt will go a long way. And this is such a big dish, you can add a little bit more. I would still be very careful and make sure you taste as you go. Now we're gonna go ahead and let this come to a soft boil, not quite a full rolling boil, and then we will go ahead and finish her off for the day. So now you can see that we got a little simmer going on here in our pot. I like to add the beans last. I don't want them to break down too much over the high temperature, and they're gonna add a little bit of starch as well. So this is very hot, so just be careful pouring in your beans. You get those a good mix and get them nice and dispersed throughout the chili. Now, I like to use kidney beans when I do chili. You can use any kind of beans you want, whatever floats your boat. All right, so now that we've got all of that mixed in, we're gonna go ahead and let this come to a simmer again. So right now is about the time where I like to give it a taste, see if it needs a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper. That is very, very good. I'm gonna throw a little bit more salt in. And again, you can keep seasoning as this simmers as well. A few more cracks of fresh black pepper. All right. Really, your chili is pretty much done at this point. You're just gonna wanna let it simmer on the stovetop for 20-30 minutes, and you're gonna have a great bowl of chili. If you wanna take a little bit longer, you could turn that heat real low and let it go kind of all day. If you're at camp, you can get a fire started in the morning and you can have those hot coals, and you can set your Dutch oven over a grate or just make a bed of hot coals around your Dutch oven to kind of keep that temperature and keep it simmering throughout the day. Just every once in a while, give it a stir. Make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom. And if it starts to get a little bit too thick or a little too dry, you can just start adding water. And if you add too much water, just cook it a little bit longer and it'll thicken itself up again. Even if you're at home, you can make this easily in one pot, as you've seen here. Then you can throw it in the crock pot all day and have it ready to go later that night. But since I'm home and I have it, I'm gonna go ahead and give something a try. So I have my smoker going outside, getting ready, about 250 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and take this chili, throw it on the smoker, and I'm gonna run it for about 5 or 6 hours. See if we can get some good smoke flavor built into this chili. And it's gonna hold a really nice steady temperature so we don't overcook it and over brown it. I'm gonna check it about every hour, 45 minutes, give it a stir and see how it's going. And hopefully we can get some really good smoke flavor in this chili. So our chili's been on the smoker for about an hour now. Let's take a look and see. You can see it's thickened up quite a bit. We even got a little bit of extra color on those beans, it looks like, from the smoke. So I think we're gonna have some really, really good smoke flavor come from this chili. It doesn't feel like anything sticking to the bottom. We're gonna go ahead and close her up again. I'm gonna let it sit for about another hour. Give it another good stir, and then taste. If we're good, then I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on it and let it sit in the smoker again for another 2 hours. And then after that, we're ready to eat. All right, so it's been another hour. We're gonna give our chili another check here really quick. Really smell that smoke from those pellets coming through. This is about the consistency I like. I don't like my chili too runny. So we're not gonna add any water here. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little spoon, we're gonna give a little bit of a taste. Make sure we're good on our salt and pepper. That is very good. We're good. Don't need any salt or pepper. So now at this point, it's already been on here 2 hours without the lid on. We're gonna go ahead and put the lid on and just kind of let it finish off here for another 2 hours. All right, everybody. Now you see I got a huge bowl of chili right here in front of me already dressed up. So we just pulled our Dutch oven off of the smoker about 10 minutes ago, let it set and cool down a little bit. That'll also help it kind of tighten up so you get a nice thick chili as well. You can top it with whatever you like. Cheese, cilantro, fresh onions, green onions, avocado, crackers, whatever you like with your chili, guys. It's gonna be so delicious and I can't wait to dig into this. That is good chili. Please make this. If you guys want to see some other recipes or how I use my smoker for venison as well, I'd love to do some more videos for you. If you have any tips or any suggestions, let us know in the comments. Tell us how we can be better. Give us suggestions of some content you'd like to see us record. We're here for you guys. We want to share what we do in the outdoors with all of you. Cooking can be a big part of that. You can even bring that home as I did today, and I can't wait to share this with my wife. Thankfully, I get to take the first bowl here on camera, so she's going to have to wait. But again, thank you guys so much for watching us here at Killswitch Outdoors. We appreciate all of your support. So if you can give us a like and follow here, the recipe for this chili is going to be in the description below. Let me know in the comments what you did to change things up, what fits your palate a little bit. I might try these things down the road as well. I'm going to go ahead and dig into the rest of this chili, guys. Thank you again for joining us, and don't forget to always hike out heavy.